Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Johnstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Johnstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Johnstad.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Voice Rising show today. And you are in for a very big treat because we have with us today Nancy Aronie. And Nancy's writing has graced NPR's All Things Considered. She's been recognized as a visiting writer at Trinity College, monthly columnist for McCall's Magazine, Teacher of the Year at Harvard. I would love to have been in her class. She's a gifted writer. She's an inspiring teacher. And the thing that makes Nancy truly, I think, very, 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 very special is her passion for people and for nurturing voices. Her new book, Memoir, As Medicine delves into the healing power of storytelling. Nancy has shared her wisdom, well, all over the world, but especially in renowned centers like the Omega Institute and the Open Center in New York City. And today we're going to explore, together with Nancy, how she helps people find their voices and heal their messy, imperfect, unruly, but gorgeously zany, wondrous, wild, and you guys fill in the blank, lives through storytelling. So welcome, Nancy, to today's show.
Oh, I am honored, really. And now I'm going to start listening to your music. I'm apologizing in advance, but I'll be Googling as soon as we're done.
Yes. So I think I write music similar to the way you write in your workshops. So that is what makes me always so happy to have one of your books in my hands. And what I find so fascinating about books, music is similar, right? You can put me in your pocket and have the songs drip into your ears. With book, it's similar. I actually took your book with me on a little retreat, and then I can take it on the train, and I can curl up with it in my bed, and I can take you to the kitchen table. And when I write songs, most people are writing constantly from forms. Like for jazz, it would be AABA and 32 bars and everything. And I've always written more like a river, zigzagging and very poetic and a lot of imagery. And so people like you, Nancy, teachers like you that give that safe space for our own rhythm of the heart to unfold itself are gold. Yeah. Just saying.
Just saying. You want me to tell you how I know how to do it?
Yeah, tell me how you know how to do it.
All right. Maybe 40-something years ago, before you were born, Kara.
Yeah. Well, I was actually at the university, but it's okay. I love you. It's okay.
Still not. I got a call from the writing group in my town, Hartford, Connecticut, and they didn't say, would you like to? They said, we want you to come and be part of our writing group, which had been meeting for years. And I was ecstatic because they were all fancy schmancy writers. They had all been published. They all had books. I was just hung up and went screaming through the house. Oh my God. I have to lose 15 pounds by Friday.
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous because you don't have to be thin to be a writer or a singer or
Thank
just
God.
about anything, a model. And then I went screaming through the house, what should I wear? Oh, my God, what does a writer wear? Black. So I wore a black skirt and black jeans. And I got there, and there were 14 women, and they had been meeting for many, many years. And I was definitely the new energy. And the person who read her piece that night, the piece was stunning. It was just, and the first person who responded sounded like this. You know, Harriet, I thought that your characters were really rather one-dimensional. I mean, I could see them. And then, one by one, everyone in that room, just about everyone, had something negative to say about this beautiful piece. And I sat, never been in a writing group before. My stomach was twisting. I thought, oh, my God, this is what they do? And then there was peach cobbler at a table that was so gorgeous, and a hot peach cobbler with Haagen-Dazs cream. So I glommed, and I put on a phony smile because I was not really smiling. My heart was like, what? But I ate because I would never miss a dessert. And then I jumped in my car, and I got home, and my husband, oh, how was it? And I said, oh, my God, the peach cobbler was fabulous. He goes, no, babe, the writing. And I said, mean-spirited, bad people. And he said, are you back? And I said, yeah, I'm going to go back. They're my mentors. So the next, it was Wednesday, not Friday, it was Wednesdays. The next Wednesday I went back. And another beautiful piece was, intimidatingly beautiful piece was read. And the exact same thing happened. Another woman who obviously had gone to the same surgeon to have her jaw wired shut. She said, you know, Dawn, I know she said this because I went out to the car after when the thing was over and I wrote it down. She said, I admire your perseverance. I mean, you just don't quit, do you, dear? You just don't quit, do you, dear? Oh, my God. And then they all found something negative to say about this beautifully written piece. And I sat there, you know, I was like, I'm not going to say anything because I'm new. They're going to think I'm a Pollyanna or something. So I didn't say anything. I was blown away by the fact that nobody saw the brilliance. And then there was this blueberry thing. Oh, my God, it was so sweet and fabulous. The little Maine blueberries, you know, just with the perfect butter. So I again overate and put on a phony, you know, grin on my face like I belong with you people, you mean people. And then I got in the car and I got home with blue tea. And my husband once again greeted me and said so. And I said, oh, my God, these women are mean. First of all, they should have nothing to do with writing unless they do a cookbook, a bakery cook, you know. Dessert. But they should have they're not only are they mean, but they're wrong. And he said, are you going back? And I said, yeah, I'm reading next week. And he said, and you're not nervous? I said, no, they're not going to do it to the new person. Well, they did.
You sacrificed, right?
They did a job on me, and I took notes as if, oh, great, oh, thank you. I thanked them for sticking a stake in my heart and twisting it. And I just was blown away by the misery of it. And then there was apple crisp. I ate the apple crisp. I took the apple crisp. I didn't eat it. I took it in a paper plate, like eating off paper plates. I took it in a paper plate, a plastic spoon. I got in my car, and I took a bite, and I couldn't swallow.
Yeah, and good for you.
I didn't write for, I would say, a year to 2 years. I didn't write anything. They destroyed me. You know how you give your power over to the wrong people sometimes, or you did when you were in 7th grade? Well, I was in 7th grade again. I can't believe that they had that much power over me that even though in my gut I knew I was a good writer, they had taken my voice away. So fast forward to many years later when I started a writing group, the very first writing group. I had never facilitated a group before. I had only taught college English and high school English, but I had never been in this kind of a group, facilitated one. And the same thing happened. People tore each other apart, and they tore the writing apart. And I saw faces get constricted. I saw shoulders go up, and I saw the writing get generic and uninteresting. So I was never going to do it again. And then I found that I put another ad in the paper because you have that little wise voice in your stomach that yells up, Nance, you can do this. You're just going to do it better and right next time. So the next time I got a group gathered and I said, listen, I've only done this once, but I learned something. Creativity requires safety. You will be safe here. I have one rule, and that is when you finish reading, we will tell you what we loved, and that's what we do. That's it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think that's amazing because I remember it was right before COVID hit. So I'd finally, I hadn't been really, I'd started the School of Voice, and I had brought, I was bringing out this big symphonic album, but I really was doing so much coaching and running the school and everything that I had very little time for writing for myself. And then a wonderful woman, she offered a writing class. And I mean, she's a very lovely woman. But I went to this writing class, and it's in the middle of Berlin, and I picked up my coffee to go and got on the train, and it's across from the beautiful synagogue, and it's a huge, beautiful apartment. And, we started writing, and I was so excited because she was giving these great prompts, and all I wanted to do was fly, right? All I wanted to do was write, and everything was fine. Actually, everything was fine. And after the second or third class, she started, I don't think she meant it badly, but she started trying to make me a better writer, by correcting, we could turn the story of your favorite stuffed animal as a child, we could turn it into a want ad, and then you could edit it like this, and you can shorten your sentences like that. And I told her, I even was able to express it because I work so much with voice. I said, my lovely one, darling. So I was like, I just want to have a place. You give me prompts, and I move my pen, and I fly. It's what my soul and my heart needs. I don't need you to tell me about the different verbs and the prepositions, and I don't need you to tell me how to edit it or shorten it. I really don't. I don't need it. So you can save your breath on that part, and just, again, maybe an egomaniac, but I was you don't even have to tell me that you love it. I just want to drink my coffee, eat my, cashews, and scrawl on this paper, for one morning a week in beautiful Berlin before I go back into my studio and coachings and everything. It's such a sacred place. And anyway, and she didn't get that because I think deep down she wanted, she wanted to make us better writers. And then we all had to contribute a piece of writing to her, to the collection, right? The collection at the end, at the end of the year, we're all going to be a little collection. And so again, I was in deep flow. I'm sitting there by a river writing and profoundly, totally excited, doing one of those stream of conscious flows. And, but I'm not bad because, I am a published, songwriter, and I've written articles and everything. So, but it was a flow. And she was like, I'm really sorry, but we are limited to 200 words, and your piece is 310.
No.
Can you imagine, Nancy? Do you know what I did? I sent in a haiku. I sent in literally 3 lines. She's like, Cara, but you can write more. I said, no, you don't. I don't have any more to write. She's like, yeah, but Cara, you're such a writer. I said, I don't have anything more. I just have 3 lines. And so I literally wrote, put in these 3 tiny little lines, and it opens the book. I had to laugh. And this really long piece of writing, which I adored, I kept in my own little files for another day. I thought, you're not getting this.
That you were able to say what you needed, because most people just get destroyed. And then That's years of experience standing in front, singing to thousands of people, and also coaching very intimately, healing the voice. So what you do is you're healing the writing voice. I do a little bit of songwriting with people, but most of my work is healing the voice wound. Really, I do work with top professionals too, but I will say a lot of my people are, they might be a dentist, or they might be a mother, and it's amazing, Nancy, that some of them, they get tears in their eyes. And I say, what's coming up? They said, I'm 5 years old. My dad's standing with my mother. The teacher looks at my father and says, that my older sister is an artist, but I should be looking at something like roller skating or I don't know, being on the swim team or whatever, right? Yeah. Another person, it's a Christmas show. I have a little solo. It's 2 lines
long, and I'm told never. You should never be singing.
Mouth it. Yep.
And they're 60 years old, and for 55 years they have not. They've been telling themselves, "I can't sing, I can't. Maybe I can't write."
I love when you
right?
just said voice wound. That was pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wound and sound, that's also brilliant, right? You just change the letter and then you have the other word, right? I mean, and you flip the letters of scared and it ends up being sacred.
Sacred.
Right?
Nice.
And
you word player, you.
Yeah, I'm a word player like you. And so talk to us about how you create that safe environment. Do you do the candlelight? Do you make your own peach cobbler? I mean, do you have food in the room so people can relax?
I actually do. When we take our break at the end, I have hot bread and jam. But basically I tell that story, and it's usually hard to tell it without crying. So they know what the wound is. Wait, I got to show my husband the tick on the cat's ear. Right?
Oh no! Yes,
I know. Right there,
and he gets to take the tick out while you're.
That's the kind of guy I proposed to him 58 years ago. We just had our 56th anniversary. It took me 2 years to get him.
Yeah.
So what do I do to make it safe? I tell them that story, and I say we have one rule, and that is when you finish reading, nobody's going to say, "Oh, I heard something just like that." Or, you know how you make this better, just like what that woman did with you.
Yeah.
Instead, I say, you're only going to talk about the writing. You're not allowed to say, "Oh, did your father?" No, nothing personal. They just wrote a personal narrative. Your job now is to talk about what moved you, what blew you away. And you don't have to talk. You don't have to be a phony and say, "Oh, I loved," unless you loved. And so I kind of model it. I take copious notes. And then it's within... after the first session, everybody's in, and they start writing, and they go deeper and deeper, and there is major because they get to be who they are, and they get to reclaim their voices, just as you said. The voice got taken away by an uncle or a teacher. The red pen really hurt.
Yeah, the red pen, the blood dripping on your beautiful words, the red pen.
Exactly. So now, it's just the word is out. So people come knowing that they're going to be safe. And safety, as far as I'm concerned, if you're safe, you can watercolor. If you're safe, you can sing. If you're safe, you can... It's all about not having judgment and somebody telling you that you're a loser.
I agree.
Validation early. You got validation early, I bet, right?
Well, I got validation in certain places early, but I have to say, too, that was always very competitive. I won first place in all the solo ensemble contests and in the school. I was on the debate team. So, yes, my voice got validation, but again, it was a perfectionism. And I remember, for me, that there was a very big moment. I mean, first of all, I was a very good writer, but in my 11th grade class, Mr. Patterson, who is hopefully not listening to the show or no longer with us, he was a stickler with all this grammar, and I love dashes, right? I love to just
love dashes too.
Right? I just loved, and parentheses and dashes, and I loved all this stuff. And he was, the comma and the whatever, and oh my God, the worst is the semicolon and the colon. I'm like, what is it? Like, who cares about this? Anyway, I was an A student in writing, and then I got a D because it was grammar. And then I went into my senior year, and Mr. Shantz, I had spent some time in Chicago, and Mr. Shantz had us write about our summer, and Mr. Shantz is and was the very first teacher I've had in my entire life who did not use a red pen. He did not touch the paper that we had written, and on the back side, at the bottom of the paper, he wrote a beautiful paragraph about what he sensed, and he changed my life. He really, literally changed my life. Yeah.
All the teachers who validated the real us are the ones we remember. We remember their names. We remember what we were wearing. And we also remember the trauma, the ones that were, you in the back. Yep.
And I think when I was singing as a singer-songwriter, the hardest thing for me was, of course, I came from theater, and so when I was, getting the lines, let's say I was playing, Hermia in Midsummer Night's Dream or something, they were the lines of another writer, and so that was my protection. Or let's say I'm singing Streisand, and that's my protection. I'm singing Cry Me a River, that's my protection. But when I started writing my own songs from my own life story, and then putting melodies and words and arranging, and it was really very naked, very, very naked. And I remember the amazing pressure that I had of perfectionism. And then I forced myself to go to a record store. At that time, they still had record stores. And again, you grab your coffee and you put on your headphones, and I grabbed like 10 jazz CDs, including, Billie Holiday and I was listening to Billie going, whatever, I don't know why, but I'm feeling so sad. It's like, oh. And I was like, Cara, like, what are you doing? I'm like, such a clear line, I did a show in New York, and they were like, she's better than Streisand or whatever, which I was very lucky to get that critic. But I realized that it's the brokenness and the edginess and are willing to look at the wilted leaf next to the rosebud that makes poetry and that makes life, right? And so I learned that later, that it's my courage to have a crack in my voice and be able to hold a stunning long line. And I think that's my path as a songwriter and as a coach, as a voice coach, is to get people to that place where they can give birth to their own voice, including, and that's what I love about your title, right? This imperfect, unruly, messy, this kind of, we don't need to have any Botox in our lips. Our lips are luscious and just fine as they are.
God.
Right?
I hope you're so, because so far everything you've said is poetry. But go ahead, keep talking.
Keep talking. Like when I was in New York, and then we had the coffee, and then we went to the theater. I was, used to be on Broadway, and everything was fine. Anyway, Nancy. So
yes,
your
darling.
new book, yes, darling.
I hear Midwestern. I hear Wisconsin, and
I grew up in Wisconsin. Amazing.
I'm like Professor whatever his name was.
The rain in Spain falls, Maine. Yep. That one. The rain in Spain falls, Maine, like that thing. I was in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Well, my son went to Ripon.
Ripon, Wisconsin. Very cool. Okay.
Yep.
In Wisconsin, we have a O, which is not an O. It's like, don't you know? It's like a no.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like a really weird O. And I've forgotten it, but recently I was coaching somebody, and she had spent some time in the States, in the Midwest, and she had actually gone to school in Montreal, but she had this, you know. And I'm like, that is Wisconsin, land of a lot of Norwegians that came over.
Innocent sound to me. It just sounds like somebody who's not cynical.
Well, we're not cynical. We have, churches with steeples and rolling hills, and we eat cheese for breakfast and bread and butter with every meal. I mean, how can we be cynical? Bread and butter, and that's basically the philosophy of our life. Like, we don't look for the stunning peach cobbler. We look for the dinner roll with butter. we're happy just to.
Parker House rolls. Remember?
Yeah, we're happy basically exactly to get some, to get a pot of coffee that's been sitting on the burner for 12 hours when we walk into the hardware store. I mean, we're not going for the fancy stuff, and we don't even have the fancy stuff in Wisconsin. We might have I don't know. I didn't even have a peach pie, but a blueberry. We had a lot of blueberry pies, and we did have rhubarb crisp, right? So, Nancy, your book Memoir as Medicine, it's your newest gem, and you brought that out right after we were in lockdown, shutdown, and probably there were very few writing groups happening in a global pandemic, and it explores really the healing power of personal storytelling. What drew you? Was it that you simply had time during the pandemic to finally write all these thoughts?
No, I had written a memoir, which, I started years and years ago and changed and modified and fixed and hotchkeyed with. And finally, I have a very big deal agent, and I finally finished. I actually paid a huge amount of money for somebody work with me, and actually he did nothing. So I was angry. I paid him $7,000 and nothing. He fixed semicolons, basically. So I was pretty disappointed. And he said, "You sound angry," because at the last day he texted me, and he said, "You're done. It's a bestseller. It's beautiful." And I went, "Done? I think we just started." And he said, "You sound a little shocked and upset." I said, "I am." And he said, "Well, if you want me to spend some more time." I said, no, nothing's going to change.
Exactly.
Then I hired somebody else, and both of these people I knew. They had been editors of mine, and I loved them both as human beings. The second one was really the best editor. She had edited stuff of mine years and years ago, and I kind of coerced her into doing this work. Yeah. And she wrote back and said, "I can't." She held it for a year. She said, "I can't. I just don't have time." She was working at CNN at the time. So anyway, I started all over again. I wrote straightforward. I sent it to somebody. They took my voice out. I got it back. I rewrote it. I gave it to my agent. My agent said, "I love it." No, she didn't say I love it. She said, "I'm going to work for you. I think it's going to be a hard sell, but I think the book is really fine." Yeah. I got 17 rejections. The rejections were really beautiful. Like, "Thank you for sending Nancy Aronie's beautiful, powerful memoir." I laughed. I cried. And 7 of them, it was almost like they copied each other, said, "But somehow I can't see it on my list." So that's the weirdest thing.
Exactly. I love it, but somehow I can't see you in my life. Right. Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Right. I love you,
you don't fit into the box, Nancy.
Come on. Was it. So I didn't take them as terrible rejections. They didn't really blow me away. They were much more, "Okay, what's wrong with your list?" which was a very healthy self-esteem response.
Nice.
So then I had all these rejections, and then I got a call from a woman who said that her favorite author is Lissa Rankin, and Lissa Rankin had gotten a bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list, and she had written that I was her mentor, and the reason she had a voice was because of me. So This woman Googled me, saw videos, and said, "You know what? Would you like to teach the Summer Academy of Writing with Mark Allen?" I didn't even know who
Mark Allen. I've had him on the show a couple times. He's a very nice guy.
He's beautiful. So I said yes. And that's when Zooming was happening. And I saw that he was laughing when I was funny in the Zoom. And I saw the chat where people were saying great things and he was reading it. And then I think, wait a minute, this is the guy I want, because he published Eckhart Tolle.
Right.
Power of Now. He published some of Deepak Chopra. I'm like, this is my guy. This is where I want my memoir.
And he risked, right? He risked on The Power of Now. I mean, it became a huge world bestseller, but he took a risk. I mean, nobody, was jumping on that book.
A little chat book and made it a bestseller. Yeah. So I'm like, the whole 10 sessions, I'm thinking to myself, I cannot wait to send him the memoir. He is my guy. Well, last night was his night to lecture. And because I forgot that he was in California, I tuned in late. And so someone must have asked him a question, and I tuned in to this exact response. "I hate memoir. Oh, my mother did this. I was born in New Jersey. My father did..." I died. I could not sleep that night. I thought this was going to be my guy. He hates memoir. So I went to sleep miserable. I woke up and I looked at his list. And everything on his list was self-help, how to, And I thought, okay, I teach this. You're always supposed to teach what you know. I wrote how to write a memoir. And I stuck in 7 of my chapters into the book. I snuck them in. So in a way, it's my memoir masked and also how to do it. That's how that book came.
Yeah. Excellent. Nancy, we're going to take a very short break for our sponsors. And you guys out there, stay tuned. And we're going to be back with more of Nancy Aronie.
Good girl.
Excellent.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
With happy clients all over the world, Cara Johnstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Cara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Cara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.carajohnstad.com and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive, dedicated community.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for summer break
because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time landing
a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Voice Rising, and thank you again for joining. And if you've been enjoying our enlightening conversation with Nancy Aronie and have been finding some amazing value in this show, please consider subscribing on your favorite streaming platform and leaving us a review. Your support means the world to us as we continue to explore the transformative power of words, storytelling, and falling head over heels in love with our very unique voice. Welcome back, Nancy, to the show.
Thank you.
So we were talking about the power of now. You do reference it a couple times in your book, which was very clever. If you're going to approach the publisher, I think Marcus New World Library. If you're going to approach the publisher, then quote one of his best-selling books. But I was wondering, very clever. That's good strategy, Nancy, good strategy. But I was wondering if you'd like to stay present. Now, this is not fair because you don't have pencil and paper, and we are in an audio interview, but I've created some speed prompts for you. Are you up for it? Okay.
I don't know what, but go ahead. Whatever you do, I'll do.
Make up your own fantastical word right now and use it in a sentence.
Plutorious.
Okay. Plutorious. Can you use it in a sentence?
So many of us hope that the world will ultimately be plutorious. It's victorious.
Victorious with the rising sign of Pluto, right? Plutorious. Okay. When did you last feel out of your comfort zone?
Ooh. I'm not great at games.
Okay.
So somebody brought out one of those games, and I was extremely, okay, now they're going to find out I'm really stupid. And they thought I was smart, and I didn't do that well in that game. But you know what we've been playing is Rummy Cube.
I don't know that. No, but I know that, yeah. What is it?
And the thing about it is that it's a combination of skill and luck. Are you doing Wordle? Do you do Wordle?
I don't, but I should. Yeah.
Don't shoot on yourself. That's around us. Don't shoot on yourself. But it's the combination of luck and skill I can do. But if it's just skill, so I was uncomfortable doing that. Playing a game where I knew the people were going to see that I couldn't.
Yeah, especially, I bought a Trivial Pursuit, and because my mom basically can answer every question, and I tried it once and then kept it packed and inside the cupboard with moth-holed sweaters on top so nobody would know I had it because like really, I mean, like who was the president of Nigeria?
Yeah,
I was like, no. No.
Jeopardy either. I have no answer for Jeopardy or crossword puzzles. Can't do that either.
Okay, so if trees could talk, what sort of things might they say?
Oh, actually, trees do talk to me. When my kid was very, very sick, I went to his house one night. This is years ago. He died 12 years ago. So he was probably 3 years before he died. I got to his house, went there every day, of course. And he said, I'm done. He had MS and diabetes. And he said, and he was bedridden. He was miserable. And he said, I'm done. And I said, what does that mean? He said, it means that I'm finished. I can't do this anymore. And I don't want any funny movies. And I don't want you to sing to me and dance and be funny. And I don't want you to read to me. And I don't want Chinese food. And I don't want all the things you're trying to do that you and Dad are trying to do to make me happy. I'm finished. And I started weeping, and I said, okay, I have to go out and I have to process this. Yeah. So I went outside and I smoked a joint, which I don't know if you're allowed to say that on OM radio, but it's legal here. And I went running in the woods, sobbing and running. And I found myself where I couldn't breathe anymore in front of 3 pine trees. And one was the middle one was taller than the other 2. And I just started crying, and I just said, "What am I supposed to do? He's done. What else am I supposed to do with this?"
Yeah.
And they said, "I know it wasn't my stoned self. I know the trees communicated because I was all open." And they said, "Follow his lead, Mother. Follow his lead."
Yeah.
And I ran back to the house and walked back to the house and walked in, and I said, "So Dan, I smoked a joint to process this because my heart only wants your ease." And I was sobbing in front of 3 trees, and I asked them what I'm supposed to do, and they said, "Follow his Mother, follow his lead." So I'm going to follow your lead. And he said, "Thank you." And then I picked up my husband at the ferry and said, "He's done." And he said, "What does that mean?" I said, "He's done. He's just, Joel, he has been suffering and sick for so long." And he said, "So what are we supposed to do?" I said, "He told us that he doesn't want us to cheer him up." And so the next 3 days, we sat in his room in the dark with no joy and no laughter and no movies to cheer him up, no Twilight Zone, all the things we were doing.
Yeah.
And on the 3rd day, and we lived 20 minutes from him, so he lived in a separate house. And on the 3rd day, he called me on the phone. He goes, "Mom." And I said, "Dan." And he said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm good now." And everything was fine. And I said to Joel, you know what? He just needed some control and some power, you know, for him to tell us what to do as opposed to our telling him what to do. And that's why it worked. But I know that message came from the trees, not from my inner wisdom, from the trees. So that's what they said. And I get other stuff from trees too.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, the trees have also that wisdom. I mean, linking it with Dan, they're rooted in the darkness, right? And we're sometimes so afraid in that messy place of realizing that the roots of those gorgeous trees are entangled with worms and decay and pain and all that stuff. And we keep on going for the enlightenment, but it might be the endarkenment, you know. I mean, it's
no
right?
mud.
I mean,
no mud, no lotus.
Yes, right. No mud, no lotus. That's our new T-shirt, Nancy. We got a new T-shirt. Okay, what are you most grateful for right now? Power of now. Nice.
I got a guy that is so even and healthy and wise. And I know he's my teacher. And I always, for many, many years, thought I was his. It's pretty funny that he just is a wise man. And he's very funny. And we have been laughing for 56, 58 years. And he just really he's a partner, a true partner. We're very different. He's a scientist. He's not into God. He's very anti-organized religion, angry at it, actually. Very concerned about the planet. And actually, he's my muse because I write a lot of stuff that he says. He talks, I take dictation. And then, I'm his opposite. So he's talking about people that are using, driving big cars. And I'm going, but I want a big car. I want to heat my hot tub. We're very good. I'm a good foil for his brilliance, and he gives me my material, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm
beautiful.
Grateful.
Beautiful. We're grateful also that he's in your life, and he does weave himself in and out of your books because one does sense, this partnership, right? And
the true. My grandmother said she met him. I have two voids for that boy. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Wunderbar. Very good. Sehr gut. Sehr gut. Sehr good. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, the last one. This is your last prompt. If you could, what is the best way that you could describe yourself to an utter stranger?
I'm perpetually a student, but I'm not a brain student. I'm a heart student. I definitely want the connection with people. That's my most important thing. I'm not very curious. I don't know why. I'm not curious about, why the stars do what they do and how petunias grow. I'm not good about, wow, I wonder. I don't wonder.
Yeah. You don't wonder when you wander?
I wonder. I wander when I wonder.
You wander when you wonder?
That I'm constantly working on trying to be in the moment and a better human.
Oh, nice. You talk a lot about truth, and you connect it with a word which I love, innocence, which I always tell my students it's inner sense, right? Can we come back? Word player. Screw Trivial Pursuit. Trivial Pursuit is no longer the game for us. We are word players in inner sense and truth. Innocence. And you mentioned that when we take the risk of saying, this is who I am, we access our innocence and truth. So talk to us about that connection of coming back to our pure, gorgeous innocence.
Oh, I just think everybody's been hurt. And when you're hurt, you put a layer over your heart.
Yeah.
And you put another layer over your heart when you're hurt again. And pretty soon there's a big cement wall. And one of the ways to access that is to have another broken heart and take advantage of that and do something with it and transform it into some kind of art form. So you can watercolor it, you can dance it, you can write it, you can sing it, but first you have to feel it. And we don't live in a culture that is really into feeling. You got a pain, we got a pill for you. So I am very big on sobbing. I'm very big on keeping your heart open in hell. That's a Ram Dass. Yeah. And I think that's where art comes from, and that's where compassion comes from. So how can you have compassion if you don't feel your own broken heart? And that's what's missing, actually. And that's reclaiming the innocence of you, because there was a time when you really were innocent and nothing bad happened. And then the first bad thing happened and you started, they're tiny murders, I call them. And when the first bad thing happens, then you chip away at that sweetness and that kindness. And then another bad thing happens. Either you become cynical and closed off and numb, or you are turning it into something beautiful and you keep getting hurt, and you're willing to keep getting hurt because you know it's much more important than staying closed. Yeah.
That was a kind of a Sweeney Todd-ish moment there. Tiny murders, little murders. My goodness. You talk also about rhythm, which I love so much, because when I'm working with singers, I always tell them, a lot of singers, they say, I'm not rhythmical. I don't have rhythm. I'm not rhythmical. Yep. And then I tell them, give me a word. So give me a word, Nancy. Give me a word.
Syncopation.
Skadaduka. Give me another word.
Very. Yep.
Badum. Okay? So I'm always playing with them and saying, like blueberry pie, like butterdunday. It's like butterflies, a triplet, and Streisel-Kuchen. I don't know. It's like there's like blueberry pie. There's rhythm behind it all. So how do you entice people to work with their own rhythmical essence?
I tell them to read their stuff out loud, and that they will hear when they need another ly, or they'll hear when the word purple is too guttural, but lavender is softer. And I say, you read your stuff out loud. Literally, your brain hears from a different part.
Yeah.
So if you read out loud, your brain actually is hearing, not the judgment brain, although that gets in the way too. But I also tell them to treat themselves as if they were their best friend. You would never hurt your best friend. You would be so kind, and you would say, you're unbelievable, you're brilliant. Why don't you do that with yourself?
Do you read sometimes out loud? Because I actually think that's an art form that so many people are, right? Because we read to our kids. Yeah, we read to our kids when they're very little, and then what happens? Somewhere after they're 1 year old, we kind of, or 2, it's like, oh, no, you can put yourself to bed, or 3, or whatever it is. We're not reading anymore. But why not? We could read to each other in bed. Yeah.
I read to my kids when they would come home from high school with all their friends. Bright Lights, Big City. I forgot the guy's name who wrote that. And it was a really tough kind of druggy novel, and they all held themselves on the stairs going all the way up. So there were like 5 or 6 guys, and I read out loud. So I got to use accents, and I got to act, but they would come home from school, everybody would pee, pop popcorn, and then sit on the stairs, and I'd get to read to them. So I got to read out loud.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. Let's make that a revolution for our world, that people start taking beautiful books instead of like grabbing their phone, and each and every one in their own little room with their little scrolling their phone. They're going to grab a book and they're going to read to each other. How about that?
The phone thing is a disaster. I'm addicted to it. I mean, I just think it's ruined everything. I got a grandchild, and he's on the phone, and they're TikToking. I mean, it's just tough.
Well, the thing is with the phone, I mean, I'm also on it, but I try to put it on my airplane mode and imagine that I'm traveling to a different place and I have to turn it off, this kind of thing.
Traveling
if
to
like,
the kitchen?
let's go Lufthansa for the next 3 hours or whatever. But the thing is the amount of distraction it creates from our focus, right? And so I actually don't turn it on for 4 hours in the morning, and I just keep it off. And and I'm off of social media, right? I used to be on social media, and now I have someone who does my posting because I just was getting so distracted. I mean, I didn't even follow a lot of people. I just, by myself, trying to read all these funny things. I lost my own voice, I think, because I was following so many other different voices that I couldn't listen to my own voice. So I think
one of the worst about it is that there's no time for reflection. So there's no time for feeling. So there's no time for sadness. And without sorrow, we're in big trouble.
That's it. No mud, no lotus. No fire, no phoenix. No fire, no beautiful coffee cup. Exactly.
Exactly. So, that's one of the saddest parts is these kids are and they're all on anxiety drugs, and they're all having anxiety panic attacks, and they're all rushing so fast to Harvard. And the tragedy is that there's no solution there. This addiction it's understandable and it's fast and disastrous.
I was reading last week. I forwarded this to a couple people. The beautiful quote from Rilke, and I know it in German, but in English it's something like, "Have patience with all things that are in your heart, and ask the questions, and perhaps someday you will live into the answer," or something like this. But this idea of the trees again. We're coming back to our trees. It's like they're just growing deeper, wiser. I mean, the tree outside my window is over 120 years old. It has survived 2 world wars in Berlin, right? I mean, the tree has survived a lot, has seen a lot. Kafka lived down the street from me. Rilke, was about a 10-minute walk. And it's just this thing about have patience. You don't need to have the answer, right? And I think that is with Google and with searching, we pop in, what is the best blueberry to plant in your garden in the spring? And it's like, oh, this thing and that thing. So it doesn't arrive anymore in a mystical, fun way. We don't
organic. It's not an organic thing. It's not natural. Yeah.
We're not surprised anymore when somebody.
I think you just really said the biggest thing. We're not surprised anymore, and surprise is where laughter is. It's where magic is. Oh, I think you just nailed something that's very big. We're not more. We're so afraid of uncertainty, and we all know. Oh, my husband just said petri dish. He thinks we've come to the edge of the petri dish. Nothing new. I don't agree. I think there's always more creativity that can happen. There's always a new way. I mean, you're always going to read a book and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe she thought to do that." You're always going to.
Well, that's the amazing thing. That is the amazing thing, that I'm always surprised to see somebody creating a new invention. And I thought everything had been invented. And there are things that make they crack me up, because suddenly somebody made some weird thing or had a weird thought.
Not because my husband invented grinder for cannabis in the world. It's called Bud Whacker. Oh, you got to Google Bud Whacker.
Bud Whacker.
It's unbelievable. Okay. It's beautiful. It's a piece of art, and you'll never need another kind of grinder.
Well, actually, I don't actually smoke joints, Nancy, but you're making me very curious, so. Well,
it'll be a good Christmas present for you. You must know somebody that could use it.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, in Berlin, it was like verboten, forbidden for the last years, but, Amsterdam is very close, and everybody's opening up. And to be able to survive the harsh reality of this world we live in, we're going to have to find new ways, right? New ways, whether it's a good red wine or, it's a good Chianti or it's a good joint. I mean, we'll have to figure it out.
It's an old way. It's plant medicine.
That's true. That is true.
As long as it's not abused, and you bow to it and you respect it, and all it's doing is moving you a little bit to the right or the left or up or down, and you're just getting another perspective, and it's opening you wider, then you bow to it. That's what you do.
Well, I learned.
We didn't smoke till we were 32. So I mean, to be 14, I can't imagine what it's doing to those young people's brains. But I feel very lucky that we were old when we discovered it. We're not drinkers, and so I just alternative way of viewing the world. And so this is
exactly. And I did learn in the last years, which I thought was very fascinating, because everybody is very, smoking tobacco. And there were many studies also on that pure tobacco, people were not getting cancer. It was all from the filters, et cetera. But what was interesting is I learned that tobacco, actually, it allows snake venom to be released from your body, so that if you're bitten by a snake, and that is why the indigenous people used to smoke once in a while, the tobacco pipes. And I was like, well, that is pretty healing, because they were helping their body in the wilderness when they were dealing with snakes. That is crazy. Exactly. Can you imagine, Nancy? The show has gone by so fast. You are sitting there with your wonderful husband, there on the East Coast. I'm here in Berlin. As we wrap it up, I want to give a big hug to you through the phone line for your amazingness and your wisdom. And thank you so much for not destroying, darling. All these voices, like nobody has to suck in their cheeks or anything. For giving that safe place, for us to not only explore our writing and our voice, but to really come to terms with the things that happen in life, that we don't need to be ashamed. We don't need to, yes, we do. Yeah, we do all pee and we do all brush our teeth, and even the Nobel Prize winners, they have to go pee. So, I mean,
we all got hurt.
Yeah, we all got hurt. So I thank you so much, and good luck with your book.
Thank you, sweetheart. You're a fabulous human being. And I think I now know who you are. I'm remembering. I don't know why I forgot. Goodbye. I love you.
It doesn't. Love you too. Bye. Bye-bye.